Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. On Money Africa, we talk to you about everything money, how to make money, how to grow money, how to build wealth in the long run. Today we have an interesting topic, right? It's something about myth. Myth. What myth do you think we're talking about today? Guess. Welcome back. Definitely, we're talking about the myths about the stock market. Now, a lot of people have different preconceived conceptions about the stock market. They think, this is what it means, that is what it means, and things like that. And guess what, guys? Many a times it's actually not true. A lot of people talk about those things. A lot of people say things. A lot of people are uninformed. You know how sometimes people say that having little knowledge is better than no knowledge, but when it comes to the stock market, in actual fact, having little knowledge could be a problem, right? Because that little knowledge that is not well formed could actually defer you from actually having a proper understanding of the stock market. So guys, today we'll be talking about 5 different myths about the stock market and how can we, burst each one of them. The very first one, people say that the stock market is like gambling. No ways. Are you kidding me? Now, let me tell you why it's not the same thing. For gambling, a winner takes all, right? Now, do you know that in the US, the chance of you winning the lottery is actually slimmer than the chance of you being hit by lightning, right? Your gambling is like a lottery. That's not what the stock market is about, right? So some people say, oh, yeah, some people win, some people lose. No, that was not the objective. The gambling system was built in such a way that a winner takes all, that other people will lose for somebody to win. That's not how the stock market is built. Stock market is not built for Sade and Shola to win so that Chioma and Mohammed lose. No, that's not how it works. It was not built with that purpose. It was not built with that intention. The stock market has a real underlying asset behind it. What is this? Let me look at it for instance. We all drink Coca-Cola, or if you've never drank one, you've seen one before. There's a business model behind it. So they have this beautiful intangible asset, which is like the syrup, like what makes the Coca-Cola taste as Coca-Cola. That's an asset in itself. They have a manufacturing plant. They bottle these drinks. They distribute it across the world. That's a business model. Every time a person picks up a bottle of Coke and drinks it, they are making money. Every time people buy the bottle of water under Coca-Cola's brand, they are making money. There is a business model. You can see something at the back of it, right? There is something working to make it happen. Or like of the lottery, you can't even tell what is making it happen. So a lot of people use some algorithms or they look at what has happened in the past 10 years and all of that, but there is no real underlying business behind it. You cannot explain the model. There is no business model for an individual to be able to say that this is why I want to put my money into a lottery. They're hoping and expecting that other people do not win and they get the magic number and they win. Unlike of the stock market, nobody is praying for you to lose. So if myself and all my friends invest in the stock market, I'm not hoping for them to lose for me to win. We can all win together. And that's how the stock market works. It has a real asset behind it. It is not gambling. So this is one of the biggest one that I keep talking to people about. Gambling is not the same thing as the stock market. They are different. So tell me, guys, does this make sense? Come into the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are. Do you really think that stock market is similar to gambling? Do you think that there's a difference between the both of them? Great. Now, the second myth is, guess what? People talk about timing the markets. Now, you know that we've grown a community on Instagram of over 250,000 people. If you're watching this YouTube video for the very first time, go on Instagram now, put in Money Africa, find us, click it, join us. Great. Now, let's go back right into it. Now, a lot of people are asking, Tosin, I want to invest for 3 months. You want to invest in the stock market for 3 months? Girl, I'm sorry, I can't help you. The stock market is built in such a way that it really benefits the long-term investors because you cannot time it. Look at 2020 before COVID happened, right? The year was going right there. Everybody was minding their business. In March, what are we hearing? There's a lockdown. Immediately, the market reacted. People panicked. They started pulling their money out of the stock market. It literally crashed. We saw it come all the way down. Now, imagine you are putting your money in the stock market on the 1st of March, 2020, hoping to get out in, let's say, April. You wanted to stay there for just 2 months. You would have made a crazy loss. Why? You cannot time it. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the next 2 months. But do you know what we could actually time? Long term, based on research, on average, on a 10-year average, the US stock market has grown by anywhere, you're seeing averages between 7 to 10%. Now that's consistency that you can bet on. So you're playing a long-term game. When you're going into the stock market, you have an understanding that you're going there in the long term, right? You're playing a long-term game with the stock market, so you cannot time it. So we always advocate for people that do not go there thinking to time. Are there people that trade? Absolutely. There are people that trade. But again, based on research, long-term investors win more. The biggest challenge is this: knowing when to get out, when to come back in, when to get out, when to come back in. It's such a crazy, math, and many a time people end up losing money. So play the long-term game, just sit in there. I like to use a scenario. If you had invested in Netflix about over 10 years ago, for those in Nigeria, for about 100,000 Naira, that's approximately about 13 million Naira now. Can you beat that with your timing? Most likely not. Great. So that's the second myth. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you think you can time the market? Do you think you're the next baddest trader in the world and you can actually time the stock market and you can predict, you can get out, you can make good returns? I'd like to know. The third myth is this. Which one do you think it is? Now, a lot of people think that the stock market is for, Wall Street boys, is for finance students, is for finance bankers and the rest. And that's not true. Guess what? Anybody can learn about it. It's not as hard as people think it is. It's actually quite understandable. It's something nice. It's really easy to understand. So you're asking yourself, number one, what do I need to understand as a beginner about the stock market? You need to know that you cannot time the market. When you're getting into the market, you're thinking about a long-term horizon. So any person that wants to invest in the stock market should have an emergency funds, because if you have an emergency, we are not expecting for you to go and sell your stocks to help your emergency. You should have a fund, because let's give you a scenario. Let's say you got into the market and you bought a Tesla at, for instance, $700, but something had happened. The market has crashed. It's currently at $400. You have an emergency. You have no choice but to sell. You've lost almost 50% of your investment because you have no emergency funds. So these are some of the knowledge that we need to know before we go into the stock market. You do not need to be a financial expert. They are all nice, easy things to read. Now, another thing people ask is, how do I navigate it? How do I come into it? I don't know what a ticker is. I don't know what this is. There are nice apps that have this simplified. You don't need to be like an expert, or you don't need to have a master's degree in finance. You just simply, number one, learn the basics. Number two, get an emergency fund so you're not in a hurry to exit should anything happen. Number three, you pace yourself. This is the amount of money I want to invest in the long run. Another good place to start is the ETF. The ETF is like a cocktail. It tracks the different kinds of stocks. So you could have like a Walmart, you could have like an Amazon, a Shopify, you could have Coca-Cola, all in this nice, beautiful portfolio. So while some are going up, others could be going down. You're seeing that average come together, well diversified, in your portfolio, right? And ETF is a good place to start for beginners. There's something called an S&P 500. It tracks the 500 largest companies in the US, and it's a nice ETF to get into. There are other ETFs out there, right? Some ETFs track only high growth companies. Some ETFs track only tech companies. Some ETF tracks only consumer goods, right? So let's say you want to have just tech companies in one cocktail. You can go for those kind of ETFs. So it gets better. The investor I am today is not the same investor I was 4 years ago. The more knowledge you have, the better your game is. Guys, so we've broken the third myth. You do not need to be a financial expert. You do not need to work on Wall Street. You just need to be able to play the long-term game. Now, guess what? There's a book called Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And in that book, he spoke about something interesting. Guess what? Investing is 80% about your mindset and 20% about your knowledge, right? So while the knowledge about the stock market is great, the hardest part is how people behave in the stock market. Easier said than done. Now, look at this. We are currently in 2022, and this is June. The market, look at the S&P 500. That ETF I spoke to you about that tracks 500 of the largest companies in the US. It has dropped by about 15% in just 5 months. Now, what does this even mean? For context, on average, this S&P 500 only grows by about 7% or even 10% in a year. And it's not even up to half a year. It has lost about 15%. That shows you that it's really deeping. But guess what? Guess what, guys? If you don't know how to manage your emotions, you panic, you sell everything, and then you haven't lost money until you sell that share. It only becomes a real loss when you've sold it. But if you're just patient, you're waiting it out, you're cost averaging, you understand how to manage your emotions, fantastic. You're becoming a better investor. So go and read more about how to manage your emotions, how to behave towards money. It's also very, very helpful. Great. So we've spoken about the third myth. The fourth myth that we're talking about is people say, oh my gosh, I need to have a lot of money before I come into the stock market. Dun dun, that's not true. Gone are those days. I remember when I started investing, I think at the age of 25, there were a couple of investment companies in Nigeria that would ask you to have as much as 5 million naira in order for you to participate in the stock market. That was like their minimum entry price. I know, crazy, absolutely crazy. But gone are those days. Now, a lot of platforms with as little as $10, you know, $10 is how much in Naira? 5,000 Naira, 1,000 Naira. You can open an account, you can actually start investing. So it has been democratized, right? The access is now opened. So literally, let's say you did some nice design work, somebody paid you 20,000 Naira. You don't need to wait and pile it up in order for you to gain access. You can literally come enter the market, gain access because the opportunity is now there. So gone are those days. It's not just for the big boys and the big girls. Everybody can participate and you can be compounding in the long run. What do you think the fifth myth is? The fifth myth basically is about people will think that, for instance, if they say, oh, the market is up by 10%, and the market is down by 10%, people think that it means the same thing, but that's not true. Let's look at this scenario. I have 100,000 Naira and the market went up by 10%, right? That means what? I have 110% now. Are we together? Fantastic. But guess what? If it went the other way around and the market then dipped by 10%, right? That 110,000 Naira now becomes 99,000 Naira. You can see what has happened here. 10% of 110 is 11 if it goes down, but 10% of 100,000 Naira is 10 Naira if it goes up. So you can see that don't just look at, oh, it went up by 10%, it went down by 10%. It does not mean the same thing. It depends on where it is based on the amount. You saw the math we just did now. So don't confuse that, oh, because it went to 10% up today, it's gone back 10% down tomorrow, it has averaged out. No, the amounts are actually different. I hope you learned something new. I hope you found this really interesting. My name is Oluwatosin Olasende. I'm the founder of Money Africa. I enjoy talking about money. I want to teach money. I want to talk about it. The stock market is really where every young person needs to be in order for them to grow their wealth. You need to build your wealth in the long run. You need to be in the stock market. You have to be there. If you enjoyed this, please click on the share button and share this with your loved ones. Everybody needs to watch this. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe right away. Also, guess what? Do you know that we have a community? We have over 60,000 people in our community. You want to join our newsletter, you want to sign up and join the Money Africa Club, www.themoneyafrica.com. Subscribe to our channel, join us. We cannot wait for you. Thank you. Bye.